Growing up, I drew my houses not like I saw them, but like I could draw them. By this I mean I drew them as my tender dexterity allowed, and of course I also mean that I drew them as if I could, as if the house sprung forth from my mind to the page in direct transfer, as if doubt lived somewhere else, as if I were an artist. The houses had straight walls on the page, sturdy, wieldy, unweathered, compact in edgewise space if not time. The walls were infinite, they spread out. I carried them from infancy's understanding of safety, and still now they stand in my dreams. Narrow knifed corners laid edge to space, nothing to determine where they stood because the walls were always first. Their edges demanded that I calculate the velocity of the W birds in the sky. A mishap would shear the W to a U if it came too fast and didn't see the sharpness of that edge. The thin line acted like an invisible sliding glass door, and I had a responsibility to the page that blood not be let by my blame. Birds, then, should, must, fly high, soar where they cannot mistake a corner of those walls for being imperceptible, and cleave their wholeness into halfness. The walls were without width or breadth, but on them I hung the crossed windows, two above, one next to the door, round if I were dreaming that day. They held the peaked roof which itself promised to hold the chimney. My own house was a squat ranch-style house, a rambler, a large square with no need for roof peaks in the desert. My mother, then single, had purchased it on debt, hope, and ulcerated night wakings. She was a realtor. She'd bought it through her office before the listing went public. This house meant I could go to the best local schools. She could be to work and home with only a 10-minute commute between, and we each had our own rooms with two besides. A dog was in my future, and the backyard pool soothed the desert summer and honed my streak of independence. My drawn homes, sketched out at the dining room table, bore no resemblance. There were trees, more than the 3 or 4 on our suburban lot. Ivy climbed walls, something Mother had said would damage the house, and lush hills rose in the distance as opposed to the flat suburbia of asphalt and busy streets. I decorated the hills with dozens of fluffy trees, animals of every sort. Tiger stood beside mountain lion, which held aloft tails, beside lake-locked orca, and danced between bear. There were apples in the tree, in the snow, on the hill, under a purple smiling sun with rays that left the page edge and asked me to remember they kept going and going and going long after the moon rose on the other side of the page, and with it, stars. Green. Green, made green, by green, swirled in yellow and blue with green and green. In the hills and the trees, the curtains in the window were butter yellow. I wasn't a kid who read the labels. I worked by feel, colors chosen for yes, green, greener, more blue than green, and more blue than blue. Labels were cumbersome, irrelevant judgments. I would decide which was the precise shade of the hilltop tree, the apples, the sunshine, without once looking at the wrappers which were slipped off and left in peels for the vacuum. My own home, my owned home, is a 2-story wrong color because the previous owner got a deal on paint that was a mistake achievement. I bought it as a single mother of 3 through a friend who is a realtor, and just after it went on the market. It sits at the top of a hill surrounded by trees and green on green with green. There are orca in the bay 20 minutes away, mountain lion threaten local pets, and a tiger refuge sits 20 minutes north and west. I sit down at my dining room table to draw a house. I cannot do this, cannot create the lines in my head, have no ability to deliver a Victorian mansion to the paper, am unprepared to allow a W bird flight from my pen. How to draw a sparrow? I ask Google. Which brown? Umber, chestnut, plain? The birds are lame, flightless attempts. The woman on YouTube makes it look easy. I cannot shade in ink. There is no smudge in permanence. The walls are angled, wobbly old knees, and my attempt at a turret resembles a tin can on the freeway. The roof is a far right-leaning confusion of shingles that began as rectangles and became triangles from a hurried hand.